It was a bit surreal, really. Like I just couldn't take it all in. That moment, coming into the velodrome, I kind of was pretty sure that I was going to win it. Can't expect to go into the race and be able to control all of the scenarios.
After a long winter of waiting, we head towards Belgium mostly for the Spring Classics, and it's utter chaos. It's cobbles, it's these small hills, and it's fighting for position everywhere. So far, the season has been incredibly successful for Trek-Segafredo. Of course, especially with Elisa Balsamo, the road world champion, and Ellen van Dijk, the time trial world champion. But there are also teams that have struggled with illnesses, injuries and crashes.
The season has been a bit complicated till now because we had a bit illness and some crashes, so it's one of the first words that I said to my rider, don't give up. And a lot of time the riders say, yeah, Georgia always say don't give up, and it's true.
So for Live Racing Xstra, Roubaix will be about revenge, and Trek-Segafredo just continuing on their good fortune.
I'm kind of the same. I think we missed a couple of things. I think we raced awesome. Yes. Like, don't get me wrong, but there are a couple of things we can just say. Maybe this is one thing we could do better. You know, you've been already like 80 kilometers in like 12. So then it's like these races, like if the situation is different, then, you know, we ride.
Yeah, but the bottom line is that I think it's for Ellen and I and everybody here. It's like it's really good when you have a sprinter and you can work 100% for her, and we really like to do that.
Yeah,
like
I get a lot of satisfaction.
Yeah, exactly.
To close gaps, actually. Yeah, I like
you
it.
You pissed all these people off. So I love it. No, good job, ladies. Really good job.
There is a reason they named this race the Hell of the North. On Saturday, the riders will face 119 kilometers and nearly 30 kilometers of cobbles until they roll onto the velodrome for a final lap to the finish line.
When I think about last year, the first word that comes to my mind was crashing. It was pretty epic also because it was the first time and there was a bit of a hype. Another nice memory I have of Roubaix is like a scar on my leg. It's pretty big. I think I will have it forever. And I also decided to frame my jersey with the mud on from Roubaix, so I didn't wash it. So I have it on my wall.
What I remember from last year that it was crazy. It was the circumstances, the parcours, everything. It was totally different from anything that I did before.
The most scary part of the race, last year I would say it was the first section because it was the first time ever we would race on the cobbles of Roubaix, and then it was the hardest sprint. It was like a sprint to a finish line, but then to a first cobble section. So actually it was pretty scary because the speed was so high and fighting.
The first section is full gas. You go full gas to the first section and then it's just all day surviving and just going and hoping you have something in the end.
The best memory of last year is that the moment you enter the track of Roubaix, when you come through the gate and all the people are cheering for you, of course, and you do an extra lap, and even though we were not riding anymore for a result, it was a good memory.
right now we're on Gran Canaria and I'm on my training camp preparing for the first road races of the season. It's quite hard for your back, to be honest, to sit on a bike. Because of that, it's really important to also do a lot of core training, and it definitely also helped to do a lot of stretching. Today it was like a really big day, a lot of climbing. We had a goal to get to the highest point of the island. There was like a part of the climb, the tarmac is so rough, so it feels like never ending. You're not so happy on the bike, but once you're finally going down or you have a nice view, you forget about it. I missed last year's Roubaix, so I'm super excited to finally be able to race in Roubaix. It's also the first time, maybe, or a long time ago, that other riders have way more experience in a race than I do, so I'm also a bit nervous about it. But most of it, it's just, yeah, I'm really looking forward to it.
You just were in Gran Canaria a few days ago, so...
Yeah, I mean, that was much better, to be honest, with this weather.
We go right and then we go left from there. This is that with Portuguese, we come to the town, the roundabouts. So,
Are you away already here then?
oh, yeah. You were away 4 sectors ago.
Okay.
So it's we've done 65 here,
Okay.
and then it's 60 later.
Okay.
Let's go, go.
Yeah, vamos.
Roubaix couples are just rough and crazy, and yeah, it's. I think it's one of these races where it's good to have information, and the girls are a little bit prepared what cabin, how long the sector is, and things like this. Yeah.
When you're doing a recon, it is hard to ride slowly. Like, you can't really ride over cobbles slowly. It's easier just to go fast. You have to expect the uncontrollable. Like, you can't expect to go into the race and be able to control all of the scenarios and the conditions. Like, Roubaix is just about accepting the chaos and going with it, and it just makes you handle your bike better if you're not stressed out, or, you know, there's so many things that add to the result.
Hitting the cobbles just with your training group or with a bunch fighting for the first positions will definitely be a different thing, but on the other hand, I think also shouldn't be too stressed about it and just figure out how it is and how stressed it will be. Also in other races where you have those moments where everybody wants to be in the first 2 rows, and then I also managed to be in front, so I think I should approach it the same way.
It did just happen. I mean, I don't think anybody who knows Lizzie would think if I would tell her in a meeting to ride 80k solo, she would tell me to F off.
Yeah, because you came up to me after this and I told you I was sick, and you said, what do you want me to do about it? Yeah, what did you expect and what do you want me to do about it, was your response.
I am scared to crash, and maybe even with the age a bit more. Like you can only know what you're doing yourself. If it's really going about the position on the most important points, sometimes you just forget and you go.
I hope this year's Roubaix will be dry, because bikes have to suffer so much in the wet weather conditions. Last year really was a mess. All the bikes were dirty, off the car, on the car. Yeah, it took a while, but fortunately we really got good cleaning products. In the end, it was quite okay. So what makes this bike great for Roubaix is that the Liv Langma is a very all-round bike. It's light, it's quite comfortable on the cobbles, and still aerodynamic and stiff. I think our bikes are really well made for the circumstances we meet in Roubaix. Once the race has started, I think my most important role is to be very attentive. So in case something happens, how far are we behind? If there's a crash, I need to be ready to go with wheels, and I want to know where all of our guys with wheels are standing next to the road on the various cobble sections.
finish.
We did, I think, a good reckon last year, and what we learned was the bike can have some changes, of course. An extra piece of bar tape, especially here, extra shifter buttons on the handlebars. So small changes, but nothing crazy.
I don't think the peloton will be surprised again by a solo move this year, but we have so many strong teams with multiple carts to play, like Trek-Segafredo, who have Ellen van Dijk, Lucinda Brandt, but also Audric Bourdon-Rago. We have Movistar, of course, with Emma Norsgaard. We have Marianne Vos, who was second last year, and of course also has that cyclocross pedigree. And what to think about SD Works with the, well, almost unstoppable Lotte Kopecky and Chantal van der Broek-Blaak at the moment. So it's going to be a race with multiple teams trying for the win. And maybe a surprise, maybe somebody like Alison Jackson, who enjoyed the race last year, can try again and do something really marvellous.
I think Kopecky is flying. So yeah, I think Lotte Kopecky is the top favorite.
Do I have a game plan for Roubaix? I think it's a really hard race to predict.
Spread more out of the different teams, which makes it more interesting, but also difficult to really point out people.
So it always goes already fast from the beginning. And the hard part is that the cobble sections, yeah, I think already the big names probably will go. And if they do, then the game plan is to hang on as long as possible, I think.
For me, the positioning is the key of the race.
This is typically a race if you race it in front and you're not afraid to waste on some moments some energy.
SD Works will have, a couple of favorites with like Kopecky, with Chantal Blaak.
It wouldn't be honest to say that I'm never afraid or never nervous, but I think everyone is.
It comes down to the person not having bad luck.
If you don't try, you are a loser. Because if you don't try, you already are a loser.
Very hard to predict what will happen.
Last year, every single rider had a rogue story to tell. The teams are ready. The riders are both excited and slightly nervous for the cobbles of the Hell of the North. Let's see what this year brings at Paris-Roubaix Femmes avec Zwift.